Good afternoon. Professor Faust and Professor Junginger shared their valuable insight. Yeah. Hello again. Yes, so you two shared your insight into design management, and I'm here to add my views on today's topic, but also I look forward to learn from you, and in particular your perspectives on design, creativity, and management in Germany. I think we are blessed in many ways these days. Design has been always regarded as the next big thing in the future, but not necessarily important now. So my professors used to encourage us by saying, the time will be coming to you soon. So in your generation, design will be the center of attention. But they also jokingly told us that actually their professors told them the same thing. So in your generation, by the time you graduate and then work in industry, where designers would be treated with more respect. But they told us that it wasn't the case for their generation. So I don't know what's your views and perception, understanding of it. But however, I think the day has come nearer in a way because the abundance of attention towards the design in general, and in particular in the areas of design thinking and service design. And the books that came out in the last couple of years that has a collections of design method with the introduction saying when to use and how to use them. Also, well-known established research centers such as Cambridge, and also those respected design consultancies like Frog and IDEO share their own toolkits and make it available for everyone and allow us to use and how to use them with kind and good examples. However, I think these convenient resources can be potentially dangerous if not handled carefully. In a way, if you don't understand, without understanding the real nature of the design process, it may give the impression that design can be somewhat prescribed, so that as long as you follow certain steps with certain method, you will get the creative result in the end. There is an attempt to actually design researchers try to prescribe the design processes, but we now know that that isn't the case all the time in real situations. So without understanding the real nature of the design process, the dynamics of the people involved, the characters and features of each problems in each project, the real beauty of applying design thinking in business context would be lost. And also the result can be somewhat predictable or even disappointing. In my opinion, I think there are three key features, defining features of design management. And I was quite glad I was third because what you two said, actually, I have included. So it's a people-orientated and iterative process. The third one, there's a special care for the concerns of the final outcomes and its delivery. So these are the three things I'd like to talk about it more today. Okay. The first, people-orientated. One of the defining features of the design management is that its focus nearly always lies on the people. Again, Professor Junginger explained it quite well. I think the reason for this can be explained by borrowing the definitions of the creativity, innovation, and design from the Cox Review, one of the two significant government-supported reviews that came out around 8 years ago to understand how best to support creativity for small and medium-sized enterprises in the UK. According to them, creativity is defined as the generations of new ideas, either new ways of looking at existing problems or of seeing new opportunities. Innovation is the successful exploitation of these ideas, whether it is through the new product or new services new ways of running the business, or even new ways of doing the business. Design is interpreted as what links between creativity and innovation. It shapes ideas to become practical and attractive propositions for users and the customer, the people here. So for the very reason that design being tailored for the people who will be benefited from the creativity and innovation process, the design management activities naturally cares and concerns for the people. Okay. I showed this example a few months ago during the seminar. So this is a part of a design project done by a London-based design consultancy called Wolf Olins in the 1960s. This is one of the questions in the rent rebate form. So those people who can't afford their accommodations, the councils actually pay for their rent. And so these are one of the questions they had to fill in. Give details of all other persons residing in the rented accommodation which you actually occupy other than yourself and your husband and wife. So those who didn't come to the seminar before, can you actually rephrase it in a more designery way? Yes, yes, you are true designers then. So this is the redesigned rent rebate form. So if you think about the people who will be filling this form, who probably feel very insecure and maybe feeling sorry for themselves, and maybe not all of them understand English or the language as well, then the kind of way, the way they feel, I can be quite intimidating. But the change of design of this form doesn't involve any graphical change. Rather, the way the form, the way it's focused is people and how they will be feeling with more confidence. As a result of this design, those people who fill this form said they felt more supported and less intimidated. And also, it resulted that they fill in the form more correctly, they would make less mistake, so the forms were returned with higher percentage, therefore they increased the efficiency of the system. But most importantly, it changed the way, influenced the way a public service is interacted with its citizens with more personal touch. The second one is related to the first one, and the design management process follows an iterative process. Again, Professor Faust explained quite in great detail. Unlike creativity from the art and literature point of view, where, like you mentioned, that the originality, how true, how original, and how new that lyrics, that painting, that skills is new, the creativity from design perspective requires both originality as well as usefulness. So to me, creativity from design perspective adopted the definition from Sternberg, the ability to produce work that is both novel, original, and unexpected, as well as appropriate. So useful, adaptive, concerning task constraint. Okay? So through iterative process, only through iterative process, the initial designs are constantly developed, refined, and therefore become more useful. The prototyping stage, so we had a great exercise last night about doing part of this design thinking experience. And so design process includes prototyping stage. And in a way, it allows the process visible. So for those who may not be familiar with the design process, may underestimate this part of the iterative process. One of my students was interested in the way the design elements within the retail environment interact to the visitor. And he developed he identified as part of his research that there is a quite well-established body of literature during the initial concept development stage as well as implementation stage. But once you actually design something and actually implement it in an actual store, that you as a retail brand manager or retail design manager, you don't have much way of actually understanding how well those intended design concepts implemented and how well those concepts is received and understood by the visitor. Okay, so we developed this emotional mapping tool to be used once the initial project is implemented as ways of evaluating how well the concept is achieved, and also therefore going through the moderation and modification stage, we actually redesign or improve the initial design concepts. Okay. And we presented this to some of the industry partners and received quite positive feedback for its potential applications. And I believe we still have quite plenty of jobs to do here, measuring the value and impact of design and also improving the iterative process. Creative ideas and solutions don't come first. It'll be quite easy, but it doesn't come first. The careful refinement of ideas and solutions during the iterative process makes this kind of things possible and necessary for a better outcome. So this stage, to me, we should be celebrating this stage rather than seeing as a waste of time or delaying the project, and properly plan from the beginning of the project. Okay? The last feature of the design management, I think to me is closely related to the first two, that there's a special care and concern for the final outcomes and its delivery. One of the challenges for design managers is that maybe they can be easily drawn by just managing the project and process and doesn't have enough time or effort to pay enough attention to the final outcomes and delivery, which is a distinguishable characteristic for the great design from not so great design. This is a UK-based drinks called Innocent. I've seen it. I just bought it from one of the shops here. Have you seen and heard of this? Okay, I'm a big fan of this brand, by the way. And they say fruit juices, and they have a quite strong brand personalities. Their story is present in everywhere. This is one of their delivery band called Dancing Grass Band. And they actually, I'm not going to go through all, but the bits in this page include some product information. So, for example, instead of listing their the ingredient, they use the expressions like pressed, crushed, mashed, and squeezed. And on the bottom of the bottle, actually they say they have some funny expressions like if you're reading this, if you're reading this, you must be bored. This is what it says here, by the way. And you have to use those corporate symbols such as registered and corporate and trademark, and they actually reinterpreted it in their own ways, redecorated, and respect your elders and trust me, depending on what kind of stories they're telling. And so instead of saying used by date, they say enjoy by date. But actually, in German it says trink mich bis. So it is just a drink me by. Yeah, it's not as interesting as enjoy by, but maybe there's a reason why it is. Okay. So, do you think this is just a little fun for extra spare time, or is it the evidence of a company making extra effort to express themselves in great detail with careful delivery? I think this is fine examples demonstrating the potential strengths of creativity, employing creativity in business context. If the brand and design management process doesn't concern and care much about the people, the first element, if they didn't go through the enough iterative process, I don't think they would have achieved this kind of quite strong brand personalities, which also resonate in other activities within the organizations. So to me, in conclusion, Those three key features of design management, among others, people-orientated, iterative process, and care and concern for the final outcomes and delivery, help us to actually manage creativity in business context, and also lead us to become more creative organization in the future. So thank you very much.